Hey guys, welcome back to another video, another programming video. In this video, I'm going to explain the fundamentals of P5.js. You may have noticed that P5.js is a library that I use in most of my programming videos for making software and, games and 2D animations and things like that. So, just before getting started on what P5.js is, the tutorial. So I'm just gonna explain what P5.js is. So P5.js, it's a JavaScript library that is meant for 2D animations and games, I guess. And it's really simple to use. It's probably the simplest library I've ever come across for 2D animations. So it's a JavaScript library, which means that you will need HTML to, start up the file and everything, and it will run in a browser. I'm going to use Safari, the Safari over here, and I also put my console. And just before getting started, I would like to say that I actually made up a new directory for this tutorial called P5 tutorial. This is in my desktop, but for you it can be wherever you want. It can be in your documents, in your Minecraft folder or whatever. Okay, but make sure that if you want to connect the library, if you want to import it into your HTML document, make sure that it's in the same, that the P5.js library is in the same directory as your HTML document, as it is over here. You can see that P5.js is in the same folder as my HTML folder, file, which is this. Okay, so yeah, let's get started. HTML. Okay, so that's the basic setup, and so you have to give a title, right? You don't have to, but I'm just gonna give it P5.js tutorial. And the first thing that you want to do, you want to connect the P5.js file. If you guys haven't ever worked with importing in JavaScript or HTML, the way you do this is script source, just like the source where you're what is your file called and where it is equal to, and then over here, because it's HTML, so everything closes, almost everything, and you can see that over here, source, you have to give the file name. Okay, so P5.js, and you can see once I refresh the page, resources, P5.js will come here. Okay, but if let's say you don't have the file and you want to import it online, so then you can always go to a website and you can get the CDN. I forgot what that stands for, but and you can just copy one of these and paste it over here instead of P5.js, and it'll be the same thing. You can see resources P5.js. Okay, but in my opinion, this is obviously much faster if you just import it locally, because then there's no internet transfer of data and stuff like that. So yeah, so since you're gonna type up JavaScript now, you have to have a script, just like that. And so let's get started. P5.js is meant for 2D animations and stuff, which means that you will need a canvas. A canvas is pretty much, it's like in painting, a painting canvas. It's like where all your 2D animations and rectangles and ellipses will be drawn. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is function setup. Now this function, it gets called once, and only once at the very start. Okay, and it pretty much sets up everything. So over here, I'm going to create the canvas, and then this function, create canvas, it takes up 2 arguments, I think, or maybe even more, but 2 arguments, and it's the width and the height of the canvas that you will create. So 500 pixels wide and 500 pixels, tall. That's my canvas. Okay, and so I'm just going to put a comment over here. This function is called once at the start. Okay, so there's a function setup, and since we just created the canvas, there should be a canvas over here, right? But there is no. Why? Because we haven't told the computer, the browser, that the canvas actually has a background. So right now it's kind of transparent. Okay, so another function draw. Now this function gets called repeatedly. Function draw is pretty much where you're going to put all your game meat and all your game stuff. Okay, so we're where all your moving stuff will be, and where things will be drawn onto the canvas. So this function is called repeatedly. It's I don't know how fast, I think it's let's just say 10 times per second or something like that. And you can also increase and decrease the speed of how fast it gets called, so it's quite cool. So to make a background, you do background, and then since everything in P5.js works with RGB, so R then G then B, and each of 255 maximum intensity, you have to put the value of R, red, then the value of green, then the value of blue, and 0 to 255, that's the range of the intensity of the color. So let's say we want turquoise, okay? Because in most of my games I put like the sky as being turquoise, so that will be no red, because turquoise has no red. It has green and blue, right? So I'm gonna put 255 and 255, just like that. And you can see that over here there's actually a canvas with 500 times 500 dimensions, and it's turquoise, okay? And yeah, just to make it look better, we can always add some style, you know, some style and canvas. And got to saying, if you haven't ever worked with CSS, this isn't P5.js, it's just CSS. You don't have to do this. It's just like to make it look better. So canvas border, 2 pixels, solid black. Okay, yeah. And I think there's also like a line. What does that do? Okay, never mind. Solid. Or I think it was dashed. Yeah. Yeah, just like that. Yeah, I guess that looks pretty cool, okay? So yeah, so that's how you set up and create a canvas with some color, okay? Now let's take a look at the shapes, okay? Let's say you want to draw a rectangle. So this is a rectangle, rect. This is the function, rect, get rect. So what it does is you have to put the x value, then the y value, then the width, and then the height. So it's quite simple. Let's say x to be, I don't know, 100, okay, 100 pixels. Oh, and by the way, in P5.js, the coordinate system works like this. 0 is over here at the very top left, and then it increases over here in the x-axis. So that's the x-axis from 0, and then it increases as you go right. But the y-axis, it actually starts from 0, which is over here, and goes downwards. And it doesn't decrease, it increases this way, and it decreases that way. So the x-axis stays the same, but the y-axis, it gets flipped, okay? And everything starts from the top left, okay? So 100 from the top left, then let's say 200 from the top left, and y, 200 down, and then width 50-50. And then you can see there's a white rectangle, because the reason why it's white is because we haven't specified any color. So the way you specify the color is you use this function, fill. And you also have to put the fill like before what you want to color, okay? Because let's say I put it over here, then it won't work, because then it's gonna, and let's say I have another fill over here, then this fill will be called instead of this, okay? It's kind of complicated. Okay, you know what? Just imagine I didn't say anything for the last like 10 seconds, okay? So fill, this is the way you color something, and it has to be above what you want to color. So again, it's RGB. So let's say you want to color this red, so 25500, and now it's red. And then you can always also give a stroke, which is the color, and this is also RGB. Let's say you want it to be blue. Okay, so 00255, and then you can see that's blue, but then there's another thing that's stroke weight. This is the thickness of the border of the line. Okay, let's say 5 pixels, and you can see there's a thing over there, but that looks really bad. Okay, so but I'll still leave that over there. But now let's draw circles. So circles. Okay, instead of circles, so instead of doing circle, you actually write ellipse. Okay, because because a circle is pretty much a shape where the radius is the same, but for an ellipse, the radius can change throughout the circle, right? So again, it's x, y, width, and height. So x, y, width, and height. X, let's say 300. Y, let's say 200, and let's make this a small circle. So say 2020. and you can see that there's a circle over there. And now the reason why this is also red and has a blue border of thickness 5 pixels is because we set that over here. So let's say you wanna, I think this works. Let me just check. Push and pop. Okay, no, never mind. So so what we have to do, we have to like re-specify everything. So let's say we want the circle to be let's say yellow. I think that's yellow. Red plus green, that's yellow. And then stroke of let's say 0. And then that's black. 0 is black. So like let's say you have let's say you want to color something black, then instead of doing 0 0 0, you can just put 0. And let's say you want to color something let's say white, instead of doing 255 255 255, you can always just do 255. Okay, so I'm just gonna color the border black and stroke weight 1 pixel. And you can see that right now there's a border of 1 pixel black, and there's a circle that is yellow. All right. So yeah. So these are the shapes that I usually use. They're also like triangles, and you can also create your own shapes by doing begin shape and end shape. So yeah, there are a lot of cool things you can do with shapes. Another thing is instead of doing stroke, you can also do no stroke. This means that this shape, the circle, will have no border. You can see that right now there's no border, but the moment we put stroke of 0, you can see that right now there's a border of that is black. Okay, so yeah, so those were the basics of drawing stuff. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go like this so you guys can see more. Yeah, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell you guys how to sense key presses and mouse clicks and all that, because in JavaScript it's not really complicated, but it's much harder than this. P5.js actually makes it really simple, really simple. Even I was shocked to see how simple it was to detect when a key is pressed or when a mouse is pressed. So the way we do that is there's another built-in function, let's say mouse pressed. Okay, and you don't have to call any of these built-in functions because it's like a built-in function. Like they do something to the function that makes it called. It's like a detection. It's like document.addEventListener click. So it's like an event kind of. Okay, so function mouse pressed, when the mouse is pressed, pretty much, then console.log 1. And now let's click on the thing, click and 1, click 1, click 1, click, 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 click. So you can see every time when we click, it detects it, okay? And what I did was I consoled the number 1 into, I logged number 1 onto the console. So to make this even cooler, we can have like a variable over here that is x position, and that's equal to 0. And let's say we want to control the circle, okay? So let's say, since 300 is the x position, we can put 300 we can put x, okay? And we can say every time, and by the way, this is equal to 300. So this is 300, and var x is 300. So like we're putting the variable x into the x position of the ellipse. So every time when the user clicks the mouse, we're gonna increase the value of x by 10, okay? So let's see if this works. Boom, 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 boom. So you see every time when I click, the ellipse, the circle goes 10 pixels to the right. Quite cool, okay? So that was mouse pressed. We can also do function key pressed, okay? And then we can do if key, that's the variable that's a built-in variable that tells you what key was pressed. So if key is equal to, let's say, spacebar, that's spacebar, you just put quotations and then spacebar. But if you want to do like W, then you put W. If you want to put 1, then you put 1. So right now I'm going to do spacebar. So if key is equal to spacebar, then we're going to decrease the value of x by 10. So let's see. every time when I click the mouse, it should increase by 10, but every time when I click spacebar, it should decrease by 10. Okay, the X position. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, the next thing is, I'm just gonna remove this. I'm just gonna comment out this part now. Oh. And what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna introduce another function. Okay. So using if statement, we can actually go like if we can detect if a key is currently down. Okay. Now that's quite cool because in JavaScript, like when I try to do this with pure JavaScript, it was quite hard and I had to come up with my own algorithm using arrays and stuff. But in P5.js, all you have to do is do if key is down, and then you just put up whatever key you want. But what I usually like to do is, so let's say we want this circle to move like up, down, left, and right. So the way we do that is we use the arrow keys, right? So if key is down, right arrow. So that's the way you write right arrow. It's all capital, and there's this thing over here. I forgot what it's called. So so if key is down, right arrow, then we want to do x equals to x plus, let's say 5. Okay, so we want to change the x position of the ellipse by 5 pixels to the right, and then let's say we also want to so now we can change this to a left arrow, then down arrow. Oh, that's a down arrow. Down arrow, then up arrow. So over here we have to make another variable, right? Y, because up and down controls the y position of the ball. But you can see that there's no variable called y, so we have to introduce that. So var y is equal to 200, and the reason why it's 200 is because the ellipse's position right now is 200. But it can always be like 100 or whatever you want. Okay, so right now the x position of the ellipse is 300 and the y position is 100. And every time when we click right, the x position of the ellipse increases by 5 pixels, and every time we click left, the x position decreases by, sorry, oh wait, what? Yeah, it should be the opposite, right? Yeah, that's fine. So every time we click left, so since the coordinate system goes downwards, it starts from the top left, and the x position goes like a normal x-axis, but the y-axis, it actually decreases as you go down. Sorry, it increases as you go down. So the x-axis stays the same, okay, like a normal x-axis, but the y-axis, it gets flipped, okay? So instead of going down, instead of decreasing y as you go down, it increases y as you go down, okay? So now watch. So every time I click right, it goes right 5 pixels, and yeah, so you can see, oh wow, yeah, so every time when I click left, then it goes left 5 pixels, and every time when I click up, the up arrow, it changes the y by -5. Okay, so right now it's changing the y by -5, and every time I click down, it changes the y by +5. So yeah, that was all about checking for keys and stuff. So instead of this, you can always just put like WASD. So you can do if key is down. I think it's like that. I'm not quite sure. W. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, cause like I've never used key is down for letter keys. I've only used them for arrow keys. But I'm pretty sure you can like sense if you can detect if another like a letter key is down. So instead of doing left arrow and stuff, you can also just do, let's say, shift. Okay, and this is also capital. So shift. I'm holding shift right now, and it's going right, just like that. So yeah. What else is there in P5.js? Let me just think. Yeah, so that was all about 2D stuff in JavaScript. Sorry, P5.js. Now I'm going to talk about 3D stuff. Okay. Now in 3D, it's pretty much the same. I'm just gonna, yeah. So start from the beginning. Okay. So in 3D, P5.js, you can use that to make 3D games and 3D stuff. But when I make 3D games, I don't use P5.js because it's not the best in my opinion. I use 3.js, which is pretty good. It's one of the best. Okay. It was created by Mr. Doob. I'm pretty sure some of you have heard of that, but heard of him. Sorry. So the way you program 3D stuff, you have to use GL, which is graphics library. You have to use the web's graphic library. And the way you do that is you after this create canvas where you put the width and the height, you have to put web GL, just like that. Okay, and then when you refresh, you can see that P5 renderer GL enabled WebGL context. So right now you're using P5.js to use the WebGL, to use the 3D graphics library of the web. Okay, so that's how you like import the WebGL library. Okay, now what you can do is you can also create a box. Okay, a 3D box. Box. And now it's quite simple. All you have to do is give the the width and the height of the box. So and also the depth, because in 3D there's also z-axis, so it's like the depth. Okay, so let's say 10, 5, 2. There we go. So right now you can see a rectangle that is, I think, 10 pixels wide and 5 pixels tall. The reason why you can't see the z-axis is obviously because, the reason why you can't see that it's 3D is obviously because you're seeing it right in front. So, even if you see something in front, it will look 2D and you can't see the sides of it, right? So, okay. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna make this box a little bigger. So 100, 50, and 20. You can see right. Oh, what is happening? Okay. Okay, whatever. But yeah, whatever. Okay, but yeah, I have some problems with zooming and stuff. But yeah, so now that you created a box, you can always rotate this box, right? So you can do rotate Z. So this is rotating on the Z-axis. Let's say 10. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so you can see that it's not rotating 10 degrees every second or something. It's just rotated 10 once and just stopped. So the reason why it's doing that is because this function over here, it tells it to rotate, to be rotated at 10 degrees from the start. Okay, if we want to increase that, then we can always go like this. We can create a variable over here where angle equals to 0, and then we can increase the angle over here, and then we can put angle over here, right? So angle is increasing every time. You can see that right now we have a really rapid spinning cuboid. Okay, so I'm gonna make this plus equals 0.1, so 10 times slower. You can see this pretty fast still. So yeah, I guess that's fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate it on the other axis, so you guys can see that it's actually 3D. So rotate X. You can see that, there we go. You can see that 3D cuboid rotating. And let's say rotate Y-axis too. So so it's like rotating around the Y-axis, rotating around the X-axis, rotating around the Z-axis. Yeah, just like that. And if you want to slow down the Y-axis rotation, you can always go times 0.02. And you can see that right now it's not really you can't really see it, but right now it's not really rotating as fast on the Y-axis. So yeah, so that's rotation and 3D stuff. We can also use the the interactive stuff, so function QPress, let's say, and then we can remove this and just go like that. Okay, and we can say if key, sorry, yeah, actually let's use this in the draw function. So let's say if key is down, right arrow, and then left arrow, then up arrow, and down. Yeah, okay, so then we can say angle angle, let's say plus equals 0.05, and let's say we want to decrease angle, then we can do minus, and up. Let's say up and down. That controls the positioning of the Z positioning of the cuboid. Okay, so what we can do is we can do translate 0, 0, 0, and that would give us this. Yep. Okay, because whenever you use if you use 2D in P5.js, the 0, 0 is over here. But if you use 3D in P5.js, the 0 and 0 is over here. Okay, and the Z-axis it actually increases as you go into the screen. Okay, so if the Z-axis comes towards you, it I think it increases. Yeah, I think it increases there. Okay, whatever. Yeah. So translate is like, I'm pretty sure most of you have heard of that. Translating an object. That's like moving an object around the coordinate system. So let's say you have a var z equals to 0, x, y, z. So this is x, then y, then z. And let's say you have your z over here. Then you can say z equals to z plus, let's say 2. Whereas this is z equals to z plus minus 2. Okay? So you can see we're moving it now. I'm moving it due to the, oh wow. So I'm moving it because of the, oh, I just hate this thing. It's so irritating. But yeah, I guess I'll just remove this. But yeah, so anyways, but yeah, so you can see that the cuboid is actually moving further away as I hold the down arrow, and the moment I hold the up arrow, it's moving towards you. Okay. And now we can also rotate it using the right and left arrow, like that. And you can see that it's actually rotating around the center, 0, 0. Why? Because I put a translate over there, okay? Because it's rotating around whatever you translate, okay? So that's quite cool, in my opinion. So yeah, you can rotate it back and front, just like that. So yeah, I guess that was P5.js tutorial, the very basics. There's much more that I haven't explained, but these are the very, very basics. So yeah, I hope you learned something in this tutorial. And yeah, sorry for the mistakes and everything like that. And yeah, see you in the next video.